Okay, I'm finally ready now. That was absolutely not supposed to happen. Hello everyone, and welcome to my brand new series that I'm sure you've all dearly been waiting for. The History of K-Pop Season 1. Just to give you guys a brief introduction to this project, this is the introduction episode after all. This is a joint project between myself and my friend Jinho, aka Researcher J.
Back again? Yeah.
Which I gave you guys a little spoiler to in one of my previous videos.
And just as a little teaser for what's coming in the future, Jinho and I are working on a project. I'm not really going to say what it's called or what it is, but Jinho's helping me out with the research a lot.
And also, this is the project where I said I'd sue myself if it wasn't out before the end of this year. If it is not out this year, not only should you sue me, but I'm gonna sue myself. But luckily, we released it this year, which means no one is going to sue me, including myself. Now, you guys might be wondering where Jinho is, given that I just said we worked on this project together for over 2 years, in fact. While it would have been nice to have him over here, we decided to keep it in this filming format due to the unfortunate global reason from 2020 onward. So at least for this reason, this will be him joining us in his 2D form. So now that we have our researcher introduced, let's get down to business, shall we? This series is dedicated to exploring and learning about the true start of what we call K-pop. So, do you know how the K-pop industry truly started? Not BTS, not Big Bang, not SNSD, but I mean the true start. In recent years, claims about who paved the way for K-pop's global rise have spread to every corner of the internet. Huh? That's right. With the wave of K-pop growing bigger than ever, many fans have found themselves joining this bandwagon without ever knowing what came before, or what was at the very beginning. Today, K-pop is a massive global phenomenon, but it wasn't always like this. Every day, there are dozens of agencies, hundreds of artists, and millions of fans around the world who contribute to an industry that generates more revenue than you could ever imagine. And above all, K-pop stars have been bringing joy and happiness, which reminds me of them, into the lives of countless fans for many, many years, through thick and thin. In this brand new series, we'll take a trip back in time and explore the complete timeline of K-pop, or as much as we can, highlighting key events and people that have left a mark on the industry as we know it today. So grab your popcorn and drinks because we are covering everyone from your faves to the ones your faves worship. So, what do you need to know before we start this journey at square one? In this introductory episode to the History of K-pop series, I'll walk us through some terms and definitions that are crucial to understanding the evolution of the industry we know and love. Ever wondered what first, second, and third generation K-pop means? Stay tuned and you'll find out. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Let's go!
Many of you watching this video may already be an expert in K-pop terminology, or even have a PhD degree in this field. But for the sake of getting us all on the same page, here are some words and concepts I'll be using throughout the series that may need clarification. These definitions are based on myself and Jinho's understanding and knowledge, but are generally agreed upon in most cases. One key term in the history of K-pop series, and one that will be mentioned frequently, is the term idol.
당연하죠.
An idol, also referred to as an idol singer or idol artist, is a general categorization of celebrity singers who often debut as teenagers or in their 20s. Typically, idols are rigorously trained prior to their debut under the guidance of an agency. The target audience of these singers is predominantly people in their teens and 20s, but nowadays includes significant portions of people in their 30s, 40s, or really any age demographic. Some idol groups that have continued to promote from previous generations now consist of members in their 30s and 40s, and they're still referred to as idols. But as previously mentioned, they would have started their career as an idol in their late teens or 20s. Since not all singers in the South Korean music scene are considered idols, we will need to also define these separately using the term artist. The term artist generally refers to all singers, including idol singers. In this context, however, the term will be used to differentiate these singers who are not commonly classified as an idol due to the type of music they're producing, the fact that they're able to brand themselves without the assistance of their agency, or that they do not represent the color of the agency they have been a part of. An example of this kind of artist that you might know would be IU. Next up is the term fandom, which is not exactly an everyday word, so we'll need to define it for the sake of this series. A fandom generally refers to a group of fans who share a common interest in supporting a specific celebrity, either through official methods like fan club activities or unofficial methods. In other words, non-fan club activities like streaming music videos. As we understand it, a fandom is slightly different from a more familiar term, fan club, which is a group that is officially established and managed by the celebrity's agency and allows the fans to interact and support their celebrity slightly more directly. The official fan club members are often granted some services or privileges, such as being able to pre-order albums, concert tickets, and goods ahead of the actual release dates. The fan club is basically a smaller group of the overall fandom, as you can see on this diagram. Okay, we have that out of the way. But what does this definition of fandom allow us to understand? One thing we can observe is that the size of the fandom often reflects the popularity of that celebrity, which can be measured through metrics such as their rankings on music charts, the size and number of concerts they hold, YouTube music video views, and more. The metrics that I just mentioned are a better representation than others, however, specifically the ones related to official fan club statistics. Agencies often host official fan club registrations for which the process can be cumbersome, resulting in some fans not committing to this registration. As a matter of fact, Jinho said that he also didn't have the best experience with this process. Because of that, there is often a huge discrepancy between the official fan club registration numbers and the actual number of people in a fandom, which is nearly impossible to determine. Oh, by the way, this almost only represents the domestic market. These fan club registrations are typically not open or easily accessible for international fans, unless stated otherwise, as the official fan club websites often require Korean portal site accounts and additional domestic information. Because K-pop is now an industry that is spread globally, excluding the number of international fans from the count would not be accurate.
Nope.
Luckily, nowadays with mobile services being adopted more widely in our society, even the K-pop industry is taking advantage of this by offering various K-pop mobile platforms, such as Weverse, Universe, VLive, and Bubble. All of these allow more direct artist-to-fan communications, and we don't understand why this wasn't implemented any earlier. One positive thing about mobile K-pop platforms is that it not only allows domestic fans, but also allows international fans to easily access the platforms as well. However, the truly good services, whatever those are still reserved for those who pay for memberships and/or certain features. And this is maybe due to the fact that these apps were launched not too long ago when we were filming this episode, but some in-app experiences are known to be not so great. But these are more or less just software issues, which we assume will be resolved and refined as time goes by. At least, we hope so. Putting the fan club statistics aside, the number of albums sold by an artist does not always accurately represent their overall popularity. As music streaming services become more common, we would assume that fans may be less motivated to purchase physical copies of albums, unless they're trying to win the chance to attend an in-person fan sign event with a particular artist, or unless you're me. Anyway, this is often determined through a lottery system in which fans must purchase albums during a specific time period and from specific locations in order to be entered into the contest. Moving right along, the term generation is the one factor that will lay the groundwork for the history of K-pop series, hence why I really can't overlook it.
중요해요.
In this context, the term generation refers to a period of time in which idol singers can be categorized based on their date of debut and when they were most active. These generations are characterized by major paradigm shifts that resulted in particular trends or defining moments that emerged during that period of time. Fans typically agree that there are at least 3 distinct generations of K-pop. That is, at the point that we did our research, but the dates when they begin and end are usually more subjective. In addition to these 3 generations, there are important events and trends that took place prior to the first generation of K-pop that are important for us to understand the complete timeline of K-pop. This period will therefore be referred to as the pre-first generation in this series. Now that I've appropriately defined the term generation for this series, it is time for a brief overview of each generation before we dive into the actual series.
Let's begin!
Common sense might tell us that 1 is the first counter number, but we'll be taking one step back to look between 0 and 1 of K-pop's history, aka the pre-first generation period. Yeah, I know that sounds a little weird, but don't worry, that's why I'm here to explain. The pre-first generation period took place prior to 1996 and is a time in which the Korean music industry witnessed significant changes. Towards the end of this period, a group named Satejian Boys pioneered what K-pop would become, leading into the first generation of the industry. Now for the actual first generation. The first generation of K-pop is commonly defined by the debut of SM Entertainment's first ever idol group, and the first one for Korea, HoT, in the year of 1996. Since then, HoT and other groups like Jack's Kiss and SES began to dominate the South Korean music industry from 1996 onward during what is known as the first generation of K-pop up until the early 2000s. The early 2000s can be perceived as the beginning of K-pop's second generation, with idol singer Boa, who debuted in the year 2000, often credited with beginning to spread K-pop music beyond South Korea's borders. Popular groups such as Girls' Generation and Big Bang defined this generation until the mid-2000s. This is also when K-pop became increasingly modernized due to the radical development of the internet and smartphone technology. The increased presence of visual media online, particularly through our good old YouTube, acted as a catalyst for the paradigm shift that defined the second generation. As a matter of fact, YouTube had to fix their counter system in 32 bits to 64-bit systems to avoid their system crashing for Psy's Gangnam Style. That really explains where the audiences are nowadays. Some groups who debuted later in the second generation, such as 2013 or 2014, may have shown a greater impact or significance on the third generation of K-pop. ARMY, I think you know who's coming. We will therefore be classifying these groups as the third generation, and they will be covered in the third season of this series. In the context of this series, I will be referring to the year 2014 as the point of emergence of the third generation, therefore defining the end of the second generation and the beginning of the third generation. During this period, the globalization of K-pop became more significant and popular thanks to groups such as BTS and TWICE, who helped push K-pop to even further corners of the globe. You know, some people might say we currently find ourselves in the 3.5th or even the 4th generation. Actually, when we started working on this project in late 2019, Jinho and I believed that we were currently in the third generation of K-pop. But as time passed and after giving it more thought, we also now believe that we are either in the 3.5th or 4th generation of K-pop. But let's continue with the video. It's important to understand though that this is Jinho and I's subjective interpretation of these generations, and the reasonings for this timeline will be discussed further in the rest of this series. And of course, K-pop is likely to develop future generations in the years to come as well. So, now that we have those housekeeping items out of the way, are you ready to get thrown all the way back to the 1990s? The first season of the history of K-pop will focus on the pre-first generation and first generation of the K-pop industry from the 1990s to the 2000s. In our first episode coming in just a few days, we're revisiting the South Korean music scene of the 1990s, where pre-first generation artists began to change the industry in a way it had truly never seen before. And there you go. That concludes the introductory episode for the History of K-pop series. Today, I will leave you with this question. When did you discover K-pop? And what is your favorite generation of K-pop? No judgment here at all. Any and all fans are welcome in the comment section down below. Also, please leave any questions you have throughout the first season on upcoming videos in the series, as we're planning to have a special review or Q&A episode at the end of this season. And to make sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please subscribe and hit the bell notification button to get the latest updates. Your likes, comments, and continued support of my projects, however far and few between, is truly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay awkward, and I will see you all next time. Bye!